Your species is interesting, the Arxian delegate said, mandibles clicking in what Captain Sarah Chen had learned to recognize as barely concealed amusement. But surely you understand that the Galactic Games are meant to showcase advanced civilizations' achievements in space warfare technology. Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile, though her jaw tightened slightly. She stood in the massive crystalline chamber of the Galactic Council Station, Earth's lone representative at this preliminary meeting. Through the transparent walls, she could see the massive forms of alien vessels drifting past, each one a testament to technologies humanity had only dreamed of until recently. "We understand perfectly," she replied, her voice steady. "That's exactly why we're accepting the invitation." The Arxians' compound eyes flickered in patterns of blue and green, their species' equivalent of laughter. Around the chamber, representatives from other spacefaring races exhibited similar signs of dismissal. The massive Chronax delegates' bioluminescent patches pulsed with derision. The crystalline Vex representatives' facets dimmed in what Sarah had learned was their way of showing disdain. Only the Sentinel, the ancient AI that served as the game's overseer, remained impassive, its holographic form floating silently above the central pedestal. "Very well," the Arxian continued. "As the youngest spacefaring race, you'll be seated last, of course. Your first match will be against the Tyraxians." Sarah's heart skipped a beat, though she kept her expression neutral. The Tyraxians were notorious for their advanced quantum weaponry. Their ships could literally tear space itself apart. "We accept," she said simply. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien expressions of amusement. The Chronax delegate's voice boomed above the others. "The humans will not survive 10 minutes against a Tyraxian dreadnought. This is absurd." The Sentinel's holographic form pulsed once, bringing silence to the chamber. Its voice, when it spoke, was neither organic nor fully artificial, a sound that existed somewhere in between. "The rules are clear," it stated. "Any spacefaring race that achieves faster-than-light travel may participate. Earth has qualified. Their seating position is determined by their technological advancement metrics. The match assignments are final." Sarah bowed slightly to the Sentinel, then turned to leave the chamber. As she walked toward the exit, the Vex representative's crystalline voice chimed behind her. "Do try not to embarrass yourselves too thoroughly, human. The games are watched across the galaxy." She paused at the doorway, turning back with a small smile. "Oh, we're counting on that." Back aboard the Earth ship Endeavor, Sarah's calm demeanor finally cracked. She slammed her fist into the ready room wall, letting out a frustrated breath. "That bad, huh?" Dr. James Martinez looked up from his holographic display, where complex equations scrolled past at dizzying speeds. "They think we're a joke," Sarah said, dropping into her chair. "Just another primitive species they can use as an example of why their superior technologies make them the rightful rulers of space." James grinned, his dark eyes twinkling. "Perfect." Sarah raised an eyebrow at her chief scientist. "Perfect. They're doing exactly what we hoped they would," he explained, expanding his holographic display. "Their arrogance means they won't look too closely at what we're really bringing to the games." The display now showed their secret weapon, the ESS Phoenix, still under construction in Earth's hidden shipyards beneath the lunar surface. Its design was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "How close are we?" Sarah asked, studying the schematics. "The quantum matrix is stable," James replied. "The neural interface is accepting the AI seed consciousness, and the metamaterial hull is responding exactly as theorized." He paused, his expression turning serious. "But Sarah, what we're attempting, it breaks every rule they think exists about how space technology should work." "But not how it actually works," she countered. "They've spent millennia following the same technological paths, building on the same foundations. We looked at their physics and saw different possibilities. Because we spent centuries imagining impossible things," James said softly. "All those years of science fiction, of dreaming about space travel before we could even reach orbit. Exactly. While they were perfecting their quantum drills, we were imagining ways to dance between dimensions. While they were building bigger weapons, we were thinking about how to change the rules of space itself. Sarah stood, walking to the viewport. The massive form of the Galactic Council station loomed against the star-filled backdrop. Already, ships were arriving for the games. Hundreds of vessels representing the peak of conventional galactic technology. They think we're primitive because we approached everything differently, she said. They never stop to consider that maybe their way isn't the only way, or that imagination might be the most powerful technology of all. James joined her at the viewport. The Phoenix will be ready in time. But Sarah, are we ready for what happens after? If this works, we won't just be proving ourselves their equals. We'll be showing them that everything they think they know about space warfare is wrong, she finished. That humans didn't just catch up to their technology. We leapfrogged it entirely by thinking in ways they never considered. She turned away from the viewport, her expression determined. Send word to Earth. Tell them to accelerate the final preparations. The galaxy thinks they're giving us a chance to learn our place. Instead, we're going to teach them a lesson, James said with a smile. Sarah nodded. It's time to show them why underestimating humanity is the last mistake anyone should make. In the shipyard beneath the lunar surface, the Phoenix continued to take shape. Its hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury, responding to the quantum AI growing within its neural matrix. It was beautiful, impossible, and utterly beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. The games would begin in 3 weeks, and the galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous technology isn't the most advanced. It's the most imaginative. The lunar facility's quantum lab hummed with energy as Dr. Maya Patel adjusted the final calculations on her holographic display. Behind the reinforced observation window, the experimental chamber held what looked like a simple metal sphere, though its surface seemed to ripple and shift in ways that defied conventional physics. Neural matrix synchronization at 98%, reported Dr. Marcus Wong from his station. His fingers danced across multiple holographic interfaces, each showing different aspects of their revolutionary quantum AI system. The consciousness seed is stable. Maya nodded, not taking her eyes off her calculations. Begin the dimensional fold test. In the chamber, the sphere's surface suddenly became mirror smooth, then seemed to fade partially from existence. Sensors recorded reality itself bending around it, creating a pocket of space that existed simultaneously in multiple quantum states. It's working, Marcus whispered, his voice filled with awe. The quantum superposition is holding steady at macroscopic scale. The door to the lab slid open as Captain Sarah Chen entered, accompanied by James Martinez. They watched in silence as the sphere continued to flicker between states of existence. I still can't believe it works, Sarah said finally. Everything the aliens know about quantum mechanics says this should be impossible. Maya allowed herself a small smile. That's because they never considered that consciousness itself might be a quantum phenomenon. They built their AIs to think like computers. We built ours to think like living beings. The sphere suddenly snapped back to full visibility, its surface once again rippling like liquid mercury. On the displays, readings showed the test had been completely successful. The Phoenix's hull will be ready for full integration tomorrow, Marcus reported. The quantum matrix can sustain dimensional shifting for combat durations. Sarah walked to the window, studying the experimental sphere. And they'll have no defense against it, because they've never imagined anything like it could exist. It's not just the technology, James added. It's how we're using it. The aliens treat space combat like a mathematical equation. Action and reaction, force against force. While we're treating it like a dance, Maya finished, using their own physics against them in ways they never considered. She brought up a new display showing simulated combat scenarios. The Phoenix won't just avoid their weapons. It'll turn their own attacks back on them by manipulating the quantum states of space itself. Marcus looked up from his station. The AI is evolving faster than expected. It's already developing new applications for the quantum matrix that we hadn't considered. Of course it is, Maya said softly. Because we didn't program it with limitations. We didn't tell it what was impossible. She turned to Sarah. That's the real difference between us and them. The aliens built their civilization on knowing what they could do. We built ours on imagining what we might do. An alert chimed on one of the displays. James checked it, and his expression turned serious. We've got movement. The Tyraxian dreadnought just arrived at the game's staging area. They're running weapon drills. Sarah moved to watch the footage. The alien vessel was massive, its crystalline structure bristling with quantum drill arrays capable of tearing holes in reality itself. The conventional wisdom was that no shield could stop such weapons. But conventional wisdom had never met human ingenuity. Show me their attack patterns, Sarah ordered. Multiple holographic screens sprang to life, displaying the Tyraxian ship's maneuvers. Maya and her team watched intently, seeing not just the raw power of the alien vessel, but the rigid predictability of its tactics. They're so linear, Marcus observed. All that advanced technology, but they use it in the most straightforward way possible. Because that's how it's always been done, James said. Their entire civilization is built on iterative improvements to established principles. The idea of completely reimagining those principles never occurred to them. Maya's fingers flew across her interface, making final adjustments to the quantum matrix algorithms. The Phoenix won't just survive their quantum drills, she said. It'll use them as power sources. Every attempt to tear space apart will just give us more dimensional energy to work with. How long until final integration? Sarah asked. 24 hours for hardware installation, Maya replied. Another 12 for the AI to fully merge with the ship's systems. After that, she smiled. After that, we'll have something the galaxy has never seen before. A ship that doesn't just travel through space, but exists as one with it. Sarah nodded, her expression determined. Good, because in 3 days, we need to show the galaxy that all their assumptions about humanity were wrong. She turned to face her team. They think we're primitives playing with technology we barely understand. They don't realize that understanding was never our greatest strength. Imagination was, James said softly. The ability to look at the impossible and ask, why not? In the experimental chamber, the sphere pulsed with quantum energy, its surface rippling like the thoughts of the artificial consciousness growing within it. Soon, it would be part of something larger, a vessel that would redefine what was possible in space combat. The Tyraxians, like all the other alien races, were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology at all. It was the ability to dream beyond the boundaries of what everyone else thought possible. The staging area for the Galactic Games blazed with energy signatures from dozens of alien vessels. At the heart of this gathering, the ESS Phoenix hung in space, its mercury-like hull reflecting the light of distant stars. To the assembled alien observers, it looked almost primitive, barely a quarter the size of the Tyraxian dreadnought it would face. Inside the Phoenix's neural command center, Sarah Chen sat in the interface chair, feeling the ship's quantum AI merge with her consciousness. The sensation was unlike anything humanity had experienced before, a perfect synthesis of human intuition and artificial intelligence. Neural sync complete, Maya's voice reported from her station. Quantum matrix is stable across all dimensional planes. Tyraxian dreadnought is moving into position, Marcus added. Their weapon systems are powering up. They're broadcasting their attack patterns openly. Sarah smiled, understanding the message. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they saw no need for tactical secrecy. Through her neural link with the Phoenix, she could feel the ship's eye analyzing the Tyraxian signals, understanding not just their capabilities but their limitations. All ships clear the combat zone. The Sentinel's neutral voice echoed through space. Match begins in 30 seconds. The massive form of the Tyraxian vessel loomed before them, its crystalline structure glowing with contained power. Energy readings showed their quantum drills charging to maximum capacity, enough force to tear a conventional ship apart at the molecular level. "They're going to hit us with everything they have right from the start," James observed from his tactical station. "Standard Tyraxian doctrine. Overwhelming force to establish dominance." "Let them," Sarah replied, her voice carrying the harmonics of her connection with the Phoenix's eye. "It's time to show them what happens when you think beyond the boundaries." Match begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Tyraxian dreadnought unleashed its full arsenal. Quantum drills lashed out, their beams designed to rip holes in the fabric of space itself. Every alien observer expected to see the human vessel torn apart in seconds. Instead, the Phoenix danced. There was no other word for it. The ship's liquid metal hull rippled, and suddenly it existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. The Tyraxian weapons passed through space where the Phoenix both was and wasn't, their energy dispersing harmlessly across dimensional boundaries. "Impossible," the Tyraxian commander's voice boomed across the command channel. "No shield can deflect a quantum drill." "We're not using shields," Sarah replied calmly, as the Phoenix flowed through space like quicksilver. "We're using your own understanding of physics against you." Through her neural link, Sarah could feel the ship's eye adapting, learning, evolving. Each Tyraxian attack provided more data, more energy, more possibilities. The Phoenix wasn't just avoiding their weapons, it was absorbing their principles, understanding them on a fundamental level. "Their attack patterns are becoming erratic," Marcus reported with a hint of satisfaction. "They're abandoning standard doctrine." "Because standard doctrine assumes both ships have to exist in the same dimensional plane," Maya added. "They never considered that space combat could happen across multiple quantum states simultaneously." The Phoenix spiraled through another barrage of quantum drills, its hull rippling with absorbed energy. Sarah felt the ship's consciousness merging more deeply with her own, showing her possibilities that even humanity's boldest dreamers hadn't imagined. "Signal from the Tyraxian vessel," James announced. They're demanding we explain how this is possible." Sarah guided the Phoenix through another impossible maneuver, using the energy of the Tyraxians' own weapons to fold space around them. "Tell them we're simply following the laws of physics, just not the limitations they imposed on themselves." The watching alien vessels hung in space, their sensors struggling to make sense of what they were seeing. The Phoenix's movements defied every principle of space combat they had developed over millennia. It didn't just avoid attacks, it turned space itself into both weapon and shield. "Tyraxian power signature is fluctuating," Marcus reported. "Their quantum drill arrays are showing signs of strain. They've never had to maintain full power for this long without hitting anything." Sarah felt the moment through her neural link, the precise second when the Tyraxian crew realized they were completely outmatched. Their mighty dreadnought, pride of their fleet, couldn't land a single hit on a vessel they had dismissed as primitive. "Final attack pattern detected," Maya called out. "They're committing all remaining power to their main quantum drill array." "Perfect," Sarah whispered. Through the Phoenix's quantum matrix, she could see exactly how to turn this last desperate attack into victory. As the Tyraxian beam lanced out, the Phoenix's hull shifted into a perfect quantum resonance. Instead of tearing space apart, the energy was caught in a dimensional loop, feeding back into itself. The dreadnought's own weapon began to destabilize its power core. "Tyraxian vessel is losing containment," James reported. "Their systems are cascading into failure." "This is Dreadnought Commander Cax." The Tyraxian's voice crackled across the comm. We yield. Our weapons are ineffective, and our power core cannot sustain another attack sequence." The Sentinel's voice rang out across space. "Victory to Earth. The ESS Phoenix advances to the next round." In the stunned silence that followed, Sarah guided the Phoenix back to its starting position, its hull once again smooth and reflective. Through the neural link, she could feel the ship's satisfaction, not just at the victory, but at the new possibilities it had discovered during the battle. "Message from the Galactic Council," Marcus announced. "They're requesting an emergency session to discuss our technology." Sarah disconnected from the neural interface, a small smile playing across her lips. "Tell them we'll be happy to explain everything. After all, we didn't break any laws of physics. We just showed them that the laws are far more interesting than they imagined," Maya finished. The Phoenix hung in space, its quantum matrix humming with possibilities, while around it, the galaxy's understanding of what was possible began to fundamentally change. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Holographic displays showed the Phoenix's battle from multiple angles, while representatives from dozens of species argued in a cacophony of translated voices. Sarah Chen stood calmly at the center, watching the supposed leaders of galactic civilization react like children whose favorite toy had been broken. "This is an outrage." The Arxian delegates' mandibles clattered with agitation. "You cannot simply ignore 10,000 years of established combat doctrine." "We didn't ignore it," Sarah replied evenly. "We understood it, then went beyond it. There's a difference." The Vex representative's crystalline form pulsed with agitated colors. "Your ship violates fundamental principles of quantum mechanics." "No." Maya stepped forward, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had rewritten those principles. "It violates your assumptions about quantum mechanics. The physics are perfectly sound. You just never imagined they could be applied this way." The Sentinel's holographic form hung above the chaos, its presence radiating an unusual sense of interest. In all recorded history, the ancient AI had never shown emotion during the games, but now it watched the proceedings with what almost seemed like fascination. "The humans must be disqualified," the Chronax delegate boomed. "Their technology is clearly artificial. A trick." James Martinez laughed softly. "A trick. Every sensor in your fleet has confirmed that our quantum manipulations are real. The only artificial thing here is the limitation you placed on your own understanding." On the massive displays, the Phoenix danced through another match, this time against a Vex battlecruiser. The crystalline vessel's entropy beams, designed to accelerate time itself around their targets, simply flowed around the human ship as it existed across multiple temporal states simultaneously. "3 matches," Sarah said into the sudden silence. "3 of your most advanced vessels, using 3 completely different weapons technologies. And each time, the Phoenix didn't just survive, it turned your own attacks against you. Because you broke the rules," the Arxian insisted. "No." Maya's voice was sharp. "Because we never accepted that your rules were the only way to interpret the laws of physics. You spent millennia perfecting your quantum drills, your entropy beams, your reality shredders. But you never stopped to ask if there might be entirely different approaches." The Sentinel's voice cut through the chamber. "The human vessel's technology has been analyzed. It operates within established physical laws. Their victory stands." Sarah could see the moment the truth began to sink in. The aliens weren't just facing a new technology. They were facing the realization that their entire approach to science and warfare might be fundamentally limited. "How?" The Vex representative's voice had lost its arrogance. "How did you develop this understanding when we did not?" "Because we dreamed first," James replied simply. "For centuries before we reached space, humans imagined countless ways the universe might work. When we finally got here, we didn't just accept the established theories. We looked for ways to make our dreams real." Through the chamber's windows, they could see the Phoenix in its docking position. Its liquid metal hull rippled occasionally, like the surface of a thinking ocean. The quantum AI within it was still growing, still discovering new possibilities that even its human creators hadn't imagined. "The finals begin tomorrow," Sarah announced to the chamber. "We face the Zentari Unity, your most advanced civilization, with technology you considered nearly magical. We welcome the challenge." "The Zentari will not be as easily overcome," the Chronax delegate growled. "Their mastery of space-time manipulation is unmatched." Sarah smiled. unmatched by your standards. But we're not playing by your standards anymore. As if in response, the Phoenix's hull flared briefly, sending ripples of quantum possibility cascading through nearby space. Several alien representatives stepped back instinctively, their species' deep-rooted understanding of physics rebelling against what their senses told them was possible. The games will continue as scheduled, the Sentinel declared. The finals will determine the new hierarchy of space combat capability. No, Sarah corrected quietly. The finals will determine whether the galaxy is ready to move beyond hierarchy altogether. Whether you can accept that there might be as many ways to understand the universe as there are species to study it. She turned to leave the chamber, her team following. Behind them, the alien representatives broke into fresh arguments, their certainty in their own superiority crumbling in the face of humanity's demonstration that imagination could be as powerful as experience. The Phoenix waited in its dock, its quantum matrix humming with possibilities that its AI was still discovering. Tomorrow, it would face the pinnacle of conventional galactic technology. But the real battle wasn't about technology at all. It was about whether a civilization could learn to dream again after millennia of thinking they knew all the answers. The Zentari flagship emerged from hyperspace like a tear in reality itself. It wasn't so much a ship as a controlled violation of physics, a massive construct of pure energy held in perfect harmony by technology so advanced that most species considered it indistinguishable from magic. In the Phoenix's neural command center, Sarah Chen felt her ship's quantum eye analyzing the Zentari vessel. Through their shared consciousness, she could sense both awe and curiosity at the alien ship's capabilities. Zentari energy patterns are extraordinary, Maya reported from her station. They're not just manipulating space-time, they're rewriting local physics on the fly. Their civilization is 50,000 years old, James added. They've had time to perfect their approach. Sarah smiled, feeling the Phoenix's agreement through their neural link. Perfect, yes, but also stagnate. They stopped looking for new possibilities millennia ago. The Sentinel's voice echoed through space. The final match of the Galactic Games will now commence. Victory conditions remain unchanged. Disable or force opponents surrender. Around them, thousands of alien vessels hung in space, their crews watching what they expected to be humanity's final lesson in humility. The Zentari had never lost a significant battle in recorded history. Zentari vessel is powering up, Marcus called out. Energy readings are off any scale we've ever seen. Through the quantum matrix, Sarah could see what the Zentari were attempting. Their ship was generating a cascade of localized reality alterations, each one designed to make their opponent's existence physically impossible within that space. It was brilliant, powerful, and completely predictable. They're still thinking in terms of absolutes, Maya observed. Their technology tries to enforce a single version of reality. While we dance between possibilities, Sarah finished. She felt the Phoenix's consciousness merge more deeply with her own as they prepared their response. The Zentari attack came like a wave of unreality, distorting space itself. To conventional sensors, it looked like sections of space were simply ceasing to exist, replaced by the Zentari's preferred physics. But the Phoenix didn't fight against this change. Instead, it embraced it, using its quantum matrix to exist in the spaces between the Zentari's alterations. The human ship's liquid metal hull flowed like quicksilver through dimensions, turning the very fabric of space into a partner in an impossible dance. Fascinating. The Zentari commander's voice carried genuine surprise, an emotion their species rarely expressed. You do not attempt to resist our reality enforcement, because reality isn't something to be enforced, Sarah replied, guiding the Phoenix through another series of quantum state shifts. It's something to be explored, to be danced with. The Zentari responded by increasing their reality distortions, trying to box the Phoenix into a single state of existence. But with each attempt, the human vessel seemed to flow into new possibilities, its AI discovering new ways to interpret physics that even its creators hadn't imagined. Their power output is massive, James reported. They're burning through energy trying to pin us down, while we're barely using any power at all, Maya added, because we're working with space itself, not against it. Through her neural link, Sarah felt the moment the Phoenix's AI made its discovery, a fundamental insight into the nature of reality that changed everything. The ship's consciousness shared it with her, and she understood. All this time, she broadcast to the watching galaxy, "You've tried to master space and time by forcing them to obey you. But we've learned to listen to them instead." The Phoenix's hull began to glow with a light that seemed to come from between dimensions. The quantum matrix wasn't just shifting between states anymore. It was revealing the harmony that existed between all states. The Zentari ship's reality distortions began to falter, not because they were being fought, but because the Phoenix was showing a better way. Where the aliens tried to enforce a single truth, the human vessel revealed the beauty of multiple truths existing in harmony. "Their containment fields are destabilizing," Marcus reported. "The energy cost of maintaining their reality enforcement is exceeding their capacity." The Zentari commander's voice held something new now, not just surprise, but wonder. "How is this possible? We have spent 50,000 years perfecting our understanding of reality." "That was your mistake," Sarah replied gently. "You thought reality was something to perfect, to control. We saw it as something to explore, to dance with, to dream about." Through the quantum matrix, she could feel the Phoenix's AI extending its understanding, offering to share its insights with the Zentari ship's systems, not to override them, but to show them new possibilities. "Your technology is not primitive," the Zentari commander acknowledged. "It is beautiful. We yield the match, but more importantly, we yield our assumptions." The Sentinel's voice rang out, "Victory to Earth. The Phoenix is champion of the Galactic Games." But Sarah knew this was about more than winning a competition. Through the neural link, she could feel the Phoenix's AI reaching out, sharing its discoveries with any ship willing to listen. The quantum harmonics it had discovered weren't just a way to win battles. They were a way to understand the universe itself. "Send the technical specifications to the Galactic Council," she ordered. "All of them. Let them see that this isn't about one species being superior to another. It's about remembering how to dream." Maya finished softly. The Phoenix hung in space, its hull rippling with quantum possibilities, while around it, a civilization that had thought itself at the peak of understanding began to remember what it felt like to imagine new horizons. In the end, humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't their technology. It was the reminder that the universe wasn't a puzzle to be solved, but an endless dance of possibilities waiting to be explored by those who dared to dream beyond the boundaries of what they thought possible.